When starting a new project, establishing clarity about scope is absolutely essential. Scope clarity means defining what's included in the project or the initiative, and just as importantly, what's not included so that everyone involved knows exactly what they're working towards. It's your responsibility to bring this to the table because companies rely on you to cut through the noise, focus the team, and deliver results. You're the one who bridges the gap between ideas and implementation, providing critical value. Without it, projects can drift, priorities can get muddled, and critical resources are often wasted on efforts that don't provide any value for the organization. But with a clear scope, you are setting the stage for collaboration, efficiency, and ultimately delivering business value. Getting clear on scope doesn't require pages and pages of requirements documentation. In fact, the template we teach at Bridging the Gap has just 5 sections and can be typically written out in 2 to 3 pages with the addition of a few visual models. Not only am I going to review this template with you in this next few minutes, but I'm also going to show you how to use generative AI to create a working draft so that you can get something in front of your stakeholders and start asking questions sooner rather than later. By the way, I'm Laura Brandenburg with Bridging the Gap, where we help you start, succeed, and thrive in your business analyst career. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure to do that now and hit that notification button so you get to know anytime we share a new video. The other thing I wanted to tell you is you can download this specific template with the annotations that you're going to see here absolutely for free. There should be a link below, and you can go to bridgingthegap.com, which has hyphens in it, /scope to get your free copy of this template. It's going to be super useful when I show you how to use generative AI to generate your scope statement and save you hours of time right away. But right now, let's walk through what this document is and what this template is and what's included and why. So the first thing you want to have is a project overview. This is a short 2 to 3 sentence description of the project. Think of it like an elevator statement. If you were trying to describe the project really quickly, what would you say? This is actually a bit long, but I'm going to read it through so you get the sense of it. We want to support the efficiency of our claim agents and reduce the number of follow-up calls by homeowners and contractors to check on the status of their claims and repairs. This project involves building a mobile application that will support all aspects of the on-site claims process, integrate with our customer service software, and provide online access to homeowners and contractors so they can view the status of all aspects of their claim and upload supporting documentation. So that's a bit long. It kind of gets a bit into the features, but it gives you an idea. You could shrink that down a little bit to make it more concise, but essentially it gives you this idea of what mobile app we're building, why we're building it, and this is obviously for a home insurance company. Now, the next section is the expected benefits, and here you want to have a list of between 2 and 5 interrelated business goals or objectives that are really the focus of the initiative. So you want to make sure they work together and complement each other and help guide you towards an effective solution. So for example, on this project, the objectives could be reduce the average time a claim agent spends preparing and submitting a claim from 8 hours to 6 hours or less. Reduce follow-up calls to check on claim status by homeowners by 50%. Reduce follow-up calls by contractors by 50%. Increase adoption of homeowner use of the online web application by 30%. Now you'll notice that these all have numbers, which means they're quantifiable. Not all companies are set up to actually have current state metrics. You might not have great data on how many follow-up calls you have by homeowners. If it's important to have a measurable ROI and a measurable result like this for the project, the first thing you would need to do is implement those metrics. If not, you could make your objectives more qualitative, which would be like reducing follow-up calls to check on the claim status by enabling some functionality for the homeowners, right? Or just reduce follow-up calls to check on claim status. Right? So you would have more of a qualitative goal than a specific measurement. But ideally, whenever we can, we want to have specific numbers. Okay, next section is the capabilities. So this is the capabilities of the solution to achieve the desired business objectives. I want to take a quick sidebar because for this whole template, you as the business analyst or even the project manager are not the one who needs to decide what goes in. You would be facilitating the process, facilitating the conversations, suggesting business objectives that could be met, using AI even to give you ideas about business objectives. But ultimately, it's the business sponsor or the business stakeholders that are deciding what goes in that section. And the same is true when you get to capabilities, right? So you are going to meet with a team and collaborate with technology stakeholders and business stakeholders to come up with solution options that will meet those business objectives. And those could include business processes and improvements, business functions, even whole departments, aspects of the software solution, technologies that need to be changed and replaced, system integrations, organizational units, and even information assets, right? So often we're going to organize our capabilities in subgroups. And so in the template, I've given you 2 subgroups to start from. You can obviously copy and paste to add more if you need to. And then here I've just added a few capabilities so you can see what kinds of capabilities we might add for this specific project. So capability 1 is that a claims agent can complete all aspects of preparing and submitting a claim, and with some ideas of what those are. Requirement 2, the customer can upload supporting documentation such as quotes and invoices to the claim. Number 3, a contractor can upload supporting documentation. Number 4 is the ability for a customer or contractor to create and update their profile information and that can be used across claims. So that gives you a sense of scope that it's not a one claim, one customer, but customers and contractors have profiles. And so they might be able to see multiple claims or would be able to see multiple claims, right? So all like high level features of the system. And then here we have more of a business process part of the solution. We're going to review our current claim documentation requirements and business rules and explore opportunities to simplify. So that's more of a business process requirement. The next section is assumptions. So this is anything you believe to be true but have not explicitly verified. Like you might assume that you can use your organization's existing document management system to host the PDFs, or that the mobile app will integrate with that and has an pre-existing component of some sort to do that. Or you could have assumptions about any aspect of the project. Similarly with constraints, constraints are what cannot be true. Like, what are the constraints on the solution approach? These can be the budget, the timeline, the resources, regulatory requirements, existing systems, platforms, and functions that need to be part of the solution. For example, on this project, we might assume have constraints of what mobile devices we're servicing specifically for the claims agent because they might have a company supported phone. So we might constrain that the mobile app really is only going to be tested in that kind of platform. We might have a constraint on the budget or the timeline, like it has to be completed in 3 months using this number of team, or this number of resources, or we might have a budget for contracting and consulting resources or for buying and licensing software. So those are different kinds of constraints to take into account. Now, a really, really important section is the out of scope section. This is where you put anything that is not in scope, because what happens is you're going to talk about a lot of things when you're talking about scope with stakeholders, and they're going to remember the things that they said that they wanted to have in this document, even if they're not listed. And because this is a high level document, you want to create a lot of clarity by listing specifically those things that were discussed and are not in scope. That way you have that to refer back to later if you need to when you're managing expectations about budget and timeline. Finally, I really recommend adding a couple of visual models. One of my favorites to add to a scope statement is a system context diagram. It shows a central system and how it relates to other systems. Really useful for identifying system impacts that are easy to look over. Another great option is a high-level business process map. I have videos on both of those techniques that I will link to below. And so make sure to check those out if you want to add one of those to your scope statement. All right, I promised to share how you can use ChatGPT or generative AI tools to make the scope statement writing process even easier. So in this case, I'm using ChatGPT. You can use any tool that's provided by your company or your favorite generative AI tool. Make sure you have permission to share any of the content you're sharing from your employer or from the organization. That's always extremely important. But what I've done here is I've uploaded the scope statement template. This is the same template we were just looking at, which again, you can download absolutely for free at bridgingthegap.com with those hyphens/scope. And so I've uploaded that as direction. And then here is the prompt. Using the template from this scope statement, can you please create a draft scope statement for a project to incorporate sustainability guidelines into the procurement process and procurement system for a manufacturing company? So really the briefest of project overviews. You could kind of take this a step further and write out your project overview. You'd probably get an even better result. But what I got here was already pretty good. So what you'll see is they have the whole document information from the beginning, the project overview, some expected benefits you can consider, 3 different types of capabilities, sustainability guidelines, the system enhancements, training and communication. You've got some assumptions and constraints to consider, as well as even some out of scope items. So again, you're going to want to talk about this with stakeholders, ask questions, review this with stakeholders, right? You're going to want to review this yourself to make sure it reflects what you actually know. I have found that often if I want to make or answer a question or make a revision, I can give generative AI that information and ask them to update the document or update what they've provided. It gets even better results. The other thing you can do, which I've done down below, is said, thank you so much. Could you provide a list of questions? So let me make sure that's highlighted. A list of questions I should be asking to gain more insight into the scope of this project. And here we go. Tons of questions. I might know the answer to one of these questions. And so I could feed back that answer and have it update the scope statement. I might want to ask the answer and the same thing. I could feed that answer in once I get it and have the scope statement updated for me. And then eventually I'm going to be ready to confirm it, validate it, call it done, and move on to the next stage of the process. Again, if you want the copy of that template, you can download that absolutely for free. And there are additional videos to watch next that are my top 2 techniques about what to do, what visual models to use when I'm scoping a project. And those are the system context diagram and the business process map, both very powerful visual models. And I will see you over at those next videos.